Huge amount of commentary. Alt News co-founder and self-proclaimed fact-checker Mohammed Zubair has been arrested by the Delhi police. Zubair has been charged with hurting religious sentiments and promoting enmity in a tweet that drew the ire of a Hanuman Bhakt. Zubair's arrest has greatly exercised the anti-Modi space. Opposition parties and several known Modi critics have slammed the arrest as a result of a vengeful Islamophobia that they claim purportedly predisposes the BJP and its supporters to gun for Muslims. Even the British paper The Guardian's headline reads, Delhi police arrest Muslim journalist Muhammad Zubair, unquote. Like Modi critics, The Guardian obviously believes that Zubair's identity is relevant to the story. Perhaps taking a cue, Zubair's legal team too invoked his Muslim identity, saying, had he not been one, he would also not have been arrested, just like others who have issued far more insightful and hurtful statements. In the end, the court may grant Zubair bail and may also rap the police on the knuckles for their impaired judgment. But a court-delivered vindication is unlikely to change one basic fact, that Zubair has not served the cause of free speech, but actually imperiled it. For a while now, Zubair has shaped his fact-checking, as he calls it, into a dog whistle. Very often, this impish raconteur has called for action against those who he has claimed have deliberately hurt sentiments, especially of Muslims. In the Nupur Sharma case, for example, Zubair pointedly mentioned that she hadn't been punished by the BJP for merely hurting minority sentiments, but was suspended for something far graver, tarnishing the image of the Prophet himself. Now, Zubair was obviously fully aware of the implications of casting Nupur Sharma as a blaspheme. Islamists were soon threatening to behead her on TV and in a grisly video after actually carrying out the act on a tailor who supported Nupur. Before tweeting, Zubair could have paused to think that Sharma's remarks on the Prophet have been a subject of debate even among Islamic scholars with varying interpretation of what's been stated in the Hadith. Zubair ended up playing to the Muslim gallery and its self-proclaimed right to feel offended in the face of any imagined provocation. If Zubair was a free speech crusader, he would have been mindful of the chilling implications of the dog whistling. It was only after several ardent believers threatened to behead Nupur that he tweeted to condemn them. That too only one he condemned, I believe. Today, after giving voice to the furies of religious obscurantism, Zubair is hoist on his own petard. A Hindu devotee has pressed charges against him for his alleged blasphemous tweet mocking Lord Hanuman. It could well be said that the Hanuman Bhakt is overreacting, but under the law he has recourse, and thanks to the likes of Zubair, he now also has the right to feel equally offended as his Muslim brothers and sisters. The trouble with a society, viewers, where everyone invokes the right to feel offended at the slightest provocation to quash inquiry or debate, is that it stops being a democracy. That's what is going to happen here. I want to open this up. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan here first. Dr. Ranganathan, how do you view the arrest of Muhammad Zubair? Do you identify with all the breastbeating that is going on within the ecosystem, the left ecosystem, over his arrest, saying that this is uncalled for, it's unfortunate, he's being singled out because he's a Muslim, and many other remarks?
Yeah, Rahul, this is an entirely different topic from the one we've discussed before, so please allow me an additional minute, if you may.
Please.
Because I want to delve into what is really happening in our country. Look, there is no doubt about it that Zubair wanted people arrested for offending religious sensibilities. And now he has been arrested for offending religious sensibilities. Talk of karma boomeranging. And what is amusing is, all those who are outraging at his arrest for offending religious sensibilities of Hindus wanted Nupur Sharma arrested for merely quoting the hadiths. Tell me, do you not find it odd that a supposed fact checker did not fact check whether what Nupur said was quoted in Islamic scriptures? He did not, because he knew the truth. Rahul, I am a free speech absolutist with a few commonsensical exceptions. For example, in the name of free speech, you can't divulge state secrets, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, you can't incite and lead a mob to violence, you can't defame someone's reputation with false details. That's where defamation suits come in. All else is kosher. This is not about Zubair. This is about India. If I'm not in jail right now, it is because the state has decided I need not be jailed. Yes, we are a democracy, and yes, we have dissent, but we don't have a constitution that respects either. We have laws and articles and amendments that, rather than protect the rights of the dissenter, protect those who violate the rights of the dissenter. Everything is grey. Everything is subject to something, primed for booking people. Dozens are arrested every week for offending religious sensibilities under 295A. Brought in by the British, as you know, after Mahatma Gandhi outraged against the booklet Rangila Rasool. Who decides what is offensive and what is not? It is subjective, totally grey. One argument that is provided in favor of keeping 295 is that it is an unequal battle of religions where one is predatory and exclusive while the other inclusive, and for the former, man-made laws do not matter, as we've just seen. Indeed, when Ilmuddin assassinated the publisher of Rangila Rasool, section 295 did not exist. So they will kill you irrespective of whether you are charged under 295 or not. Therefore, the only way to stop them from denigrating your religion is to have 295. Otherwise, they will keep denigrating Hinduism and be safe, while you will keep getting beheaded if you denigrate Islam. It's an interesting argument, but here's the thing. Out of tens of thousands charged under 295, only a handful are really at risk of beheading. An overwhelming majority have forwarded some snarky post or made a quip or uploaded a Photoshop, and yet these are the ones whose lives are destroyed by 295 because they, quote, offended religious sensibilities. Let me just provide two examples very quickly. 21-year-old Sunny Gupta was charged with 295 and jailed for 45 days. His crime? He asked people to not visit Ajmer Sharif. Closer home, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, who was clearly being sarcastic when he commented in front of a temple, was jailed for 40 days by the Chief Justice, no less. He came out suffering debilitating health issues, requiring multiple surgeries. Put yourself in their shoes, I ask, or the shoes of their relatives, and then you will realize the absurdity of this law. Leave aside the argument of free speech absolutism. These tens of thousands are mere collateral for you just because you want Zubair to be arrested under 295. What if Sunny was your child or Abhijit your wife? Truth is, there was more respect for dissent in ancient India than there is in the modern. Ironic that I say this, but our future lies in going back to our past.
You know, I support what you're saying, Dr. Ranganathan, but that truth should have dawned on a fact checker like Zubair. And he should have realized the slippery slope that he was making others stand on by going out there like some town crier demanding their arrest. And that's really the problem here, because now when it's all come to bite him back, he is, and his lawyers are, and those that support him are outraging as if he's above the law. It's the same law, Mr. Zubair, that you wanted invoked against anyone and everyone who you didn't agree with, just because you didn't agree with them. So Tehseen Poonawala, Sajid Supariwala, Abhijit Iyer is also here with us. Tehseen Poonawala, I want to ask you, you wanted Nupur and Ketki jailed, or at least some of your Congress allies wanted Ketki jailed. The NCP certainly wasn't outraging when she was put behind bars. A large number of congressmen wanted Nupur in jail. They still demand her jail and arrest. Why? Because she hurt sensibilities of Muslims. Today, a few Hindus believe that Zubair has hurt their sensibilities. So why shouldn't he be jailed? Why the double standards, Mr. Poonawala?
I publicly stood up for Ketki and Nupur and for my friend Abhijit Iyer Mitra, and I think that in a modern civilized democracy like India, there is no place for 295E. It's a law that's absolute and it must go. The problem with your argument, Rahul, when I say I mean the argument in case of Zubair is this. When we celebrate the state going wrongly after somebody, even if the other person has wrong, when we celebrate revenge by state, we are no longer a democracy. The state may have issues with Zubair's fact-checking, and they have a right to have issues with it. They may agree or disagree with his fact-checking. But Zubair has been arrested for the following. In 2022, for a tweet in 2018 that has offended somebody who's come on Twitter in 2021. That is as ridiculous as it gets.
No,
and in any civilized democracy, I stand with what
One second, Mr. Poonawalla, one second. You're not answering the fundamental question here. I am not in favor of invoking criminal defamation and all these stupid laws, to be honest, against anyone. I also have caveats on what constitutes free speech, no doubt. Like Dr. Ranganathan, I do agree that certain things are prosecutable, imminently so. But the fact is, when a person is using the laws on the book, knowing fully well that they're draconian, to lock up his adversaries, and then finds that someone points a finger back at him, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, can he claim immunity? That's the fundamental question. You've got to judge yourself by the yardsticks that you're judging others. Then don't cry foul.
I'm not going to get into the question of hypocrisy, but I think we need to be very clear about something. Zubair has not been arrested on 295 and 153. He's being prosecuted for 295 and 153. He is being arrested because he tampered with evidence. He refused to hand over electronic devices and he wiped clean his phone. He reformatted his phone. I think if you go through all the statements that the police have made, the arrest was triggered by his destruction of evidence, which is a criminal act irrespective of the country anywhere in the world, including Scandinavian liberal countries. So let us not confuse what the prosecution is for and what to arrest. Number one. Number two, you see, there is no part of the Constitution that says you will not go in a crowd and throw up yourself in a suicide. There is no article in the Constitution or the IPC that says that you will not drive your car on pedestrians. But yet, all of us know instinctively that if you basically go blow yourself up, people are going to die. Or if you run your car over, intentionally run your car over, people will simply hang. This doesn't need to be taught. Zubair knew exactly what he was doing. If you take the accretion of events, you know, isn't it amazing that Zubair ran a site called Graph? And these people want you to believe that Modi triggered riots even though there was zero proof. Yet, these people will now tell you that Zubair had no idea the riots and murders like what happened in Jaipur and with Mr. Kohli. Okay, let us not infantilize Mr. Zubair. He is an adult. He knew the exact consequences of his actions. And if he did not understand what was happening in India, he only had to look at what happened in Denmark, what happened to the Dutch filmmaker, what happened to Charlie Hebdo to know the consequences of his actions. He is not an infant. He is not a juvenile. He is not pre-puberty. It is not that he lacks agency. Okay, so let us be very, very clear about all of these things.
Okay, viewers, Mehbooba Mufti, PDP chief. Ironic that India joins G7 to protect free speech, but fact-checkers arrested for frivolous charges. Not one squeak out of these people when Ketki was jailed. Rahul Gandhi, every person exposing BJP's hate is a threat. Arresting voice of truth will rise to more. Did he call upon the Shiv Sena government that jailed Ketki Chitale? No. No. He ignored it because it would be inconvenient. Shashi Tharoor, arrest of Zubair is an assault on truth. Asaduddin Owaisi, AMM chief, Zubair arrested in a false case and taken away. If anything happens, BJP and PM are responsible. This man, his MP, viewers, his MP was calling for the public hanging of Nupur Sharma. Jairam Ramesh, he exposed Vishguru and struck with vengeance. Police has lost professionalism and independence. Several in Congress-ruled states have been arrested for far less, viewers, just because they were critical, thrown into jail. Two wrongs don't make a right. I want to make it very clear. But certainly, people can't choose and pick who they want to support because it is ideologically advantages for them. They can't do that. They shouldn't do that. Dr. Ranganathan, you are raising your hand. I'll finish with you. We have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. No, Rahul, both you and Avijit, my good friend, have made interesting points. But as I've already quoted, it's all there. The
Sure.
punishment for blasphemy in the holy book, in the verses.
Sure.
So by your definition, or what Abhijit is saying, no Muslim can outrage on blasphemy. Because he or she knows the moment he accuses someone of blasphemy, the verses of the book will kick in and thousands upon thousands will enter the streets. Are you saying that no Muslim is allowed to outrage? I am providing a devil's advocate. Because if that is true, then the one biggest perpetrator of the murder of Kamlesh Tiwari is actually Asaduddin Owaisi. You should hear what he said. वो जालिम, वो कुत्ता जो उत्तर प्रदेश के बिल में छुपा हुआ है, याद रख.
We're not saying that.
तेरी गुस्ताखी ने तेरी मौत को दावत दी.
No, we're not saying that. No, we're not saying that. We are on a slightly different point. Dr. Ranganathan, slightly different point.
Precisely.
And I want to make it very clear. Viewers, my point is that there is a supreme double standards in the Zubair case. We are not going into whether Zubair should have been jailed or not. The point is, he would call out people. He would say that they deserve to go to jail. He did it in the case of Nupur Sharma.
Yeah, of course.
And now, when someone is holding up the rule book to his face, he's invoking his Muslim identity to wriggle out of it and saying, somehow I'm above the law. I'm only being attacked because I happen to be a dissident. That cannot be. That cannot be. That cannot be. Mr. Iyer, very quickly, sir.
You know, there was this case about security with Modi, which was equality of equals. That was the principle that was established. Understand, shouting in an open field and screaming fire is not the same as going to a film theater and screaming fire, even though you have said the same thing. Me saying in private that I want to kill XYZ is not anything. But me saying in public I want to kill XYZ is something. The context matters, the situation matters, where you say it matters.
Yes.
So
Well,
yes, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, there is an additional burden on every Muslim to not outrage. Because guess what? It is not Hindu mobs that come out and kill people for blasphemy. It is, however, a consistent pattern across the globe where Muslims do.
Okay. Well, we leave it at that. Hard stop.
Whether we like it or not, there is an additional...
Hard stop on the show, viewers. Hard stop on the show. Hard stop on the show. The point is, today, those people who are gladly welcoming legal intervention in Nupur's case cannot stand up and defend Zubair because it is an exact mirror image of that case. So you've got to apply those standards equally. I'll leave it at that.